$728 today, with gold and silver also rocketing higher, with silver up more than 3% today. Part of the reason why Bitcoin has seen such a price resurgence is because of the increased demand for the currency in the Chinese market. You would think that the Chinese economy would be doing well after the yuan's SDR basket inclusion, but in spite of that, it continues to depreciate, hitting a 6-year low in October in conjunction with an estimated total of over $573 billion in Chinese capital outflows so far this year. If these trends continue, which they likely will, considering the depreciative nature of fiat currencies, the prospect of an $800 Bitcoin in the near future is not far-fetched. Of course, you know Bitcoin's price is doing especially well whenever the coin goes through one of its brief barrages of negative press. Early yesterday, Forbes released an article highlighting how criminals use Bitcoin. But you'll never hear Forbes speak badly about the criminal central bankers systematically stealing from everyone through their fiat currency inflation. The Securities and Exchange Commission is also suspicious of Bitcoin. The commission is still trying to figure out what to do 3 years after the Winklevoss brothers filed their Winklevoss Bitcoin Trust in July 2013. Since then, Bitcoin has risen some 610%, and many more new filings for additional ETFs tracking Bitcoin await SEC approval. In typical regulatory fashion, the SEC has moved on the filings by seeking additional public comment. The SEC is worried about the stability of Bitcoin and its platforms and how regulations regarding Bitcoin would evolve. But the SEC will always have worries, right up to when Bitcoin exchange-traded funds are approved to a warm welcome in the marketplace from investors seeking something more stable than wretched central banking currencies. Bitcoin is actually a pseudonymous cryptocurrency. Yet recently, mainstream media networks like Bloomberg put articles out saying Bitcoin isn't anonymous enough. Obviously, it isn't anonymous. It was never intended to be completely anonymous. If the people who wrote the article knew anything about the platform, they'd understand that its inherent design is pseudonymous by definition because of the fact that the addresses and transactions are recorded on the blockchain. While we're big precious metals advocates, physical bullion is not highly divisible, especially for transactions of less than $1 or $2. Bitcoin provides a more pragmatic solution to that shortcoming through its ability to be nearly instantaneously exchanged and its high divisibility. Bitcoin is proving to be a legitimate existential threat to the globalist elites, which we have seen through not only their demonization of the currency, but also in their efforts and attempts to locate and arrest its creators. For example, in Australia, the Attorney General's Department wants to begin drafting legislative proposals to include Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency exchanges in its anti-money laundering laws. Their goal is to finalize that legislation by 2018. If you've been following our previous videos, or if you read The Economist, you may recall that the cover of the 1988 issue of The Economist magazine had a picture of a phoenix rising from the ashes with a medallion bearing the year 2018 and the title, "Get Ready for a World Currency." Now, the globalist financiers are starting to squirm in their seats as they watch some of these emerging cryptocurrencies hinder their ability to exact absolute monetary control. One of the best ways to avoid the globalist financial stranglehold is to trade using cryptocurrencies. That's why this year, at the world's largest anarcho-capitalist conference, Anarchapulco, we're planning on having an entire day devoted exclusively to cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. It's called Cryptopolco. If you want to learn more about emerging crypto technology, plus other innovations from leading experts in the space, please buy a ticket while they're still available. And of course, the tickets will be available for purchase via cryptocurrency. Here's more on Anarchapulco.
By the 21st century, the statists had taken over the world. After 9/11, the savage union of the war on terror and the war on drugs squelched the last flickers of freedom. Central banking-backed wars raged. Violence, imprisonment, and theft had become the norm. Not many could see any other way. Hope vanished. But then, when things looked their darkest, something happened. A surprise, and just in time. From the valleys, fjords, and suburbs rose the anarchists. From the cities, factories, and the dark web came the anarcho-capitalists. And from every other nook, corner, cranny, and drum circle, the voluntarists. Some said it was too little, too late. The war had already been lost. "You can't change the system," they cried. And the anarchists answered, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. One rule to heal the world, one rule that binds them, one rule sets their moral compass and aligns them. The N-A-motherfucking-P." And with that, they gather again, as they do every year, in Acapulco, Mexico, this coming February for the 3rd annual Anarchapulco. Speakers include Larkin Rose, Jeffrey Tucker, Jeff Berwick, Adam Kokesh, Milo Yiannopoulos, Lauren Southern, Luke Rudowski, Julia Toriansky, Roger Ver, Rick Falkfinger, Dana Martin, Judd Weiss, Max Egan, Josie Wales, That Guy T, Anarchy Girl, Sasha Daygame, Barry Cooper, Mark Victor, Trace Mayer, Ian Freeman and Mark Edge, Rosalind Ross, Tim Moen, Dan Dix, Dale Brown, Christopher David, Stephanie Murphy, Derek J. Freeman, Derek Brose, and many, many more. The headline musical act will be Eric July and Backwards. In and around the event will also be the Dollar Vigilantes Internationalization and Investment Summit, Change Media University, and the world's largest ayahuasca ceremony held by Barry Cooper, Ayahuascapulco. Plus, Terry Brock's Fund Your Freedom entrepreneurial course, Adam Kokesh's homesteading workshop, Sasha Daygame's Anarchy in Relationships course, Dana Martin's Free Your Family workshop, and much, much more. And it will all be held the last week of February 2017 in Acapulco, Mexico at the 5-star Mundo Imperial Resort and Convention Center. Go to anarchapulco.com to stake your place in history. The world might just never be the same. Evacuate the state. Brave the future.
Derivatives and bubbles, austerity and cutbacks, bailouts for Wall Street and bail-ins for Main Street. It's hard to find anyone outside of the rarefied world of television talking heads who doesn't understand that the international financial system is broken and spinning increasingly out of control. But the debate over what to do about it is rancorous, fractious, and rarely enlightening. Proposed solutions include government belt-tightening, taxing the rich, increasing quantitative easing, or voting for the political candidate who seems to offer the best deal for a given tax bracket. But all of these solutions miss the point. Money. Money is the common denominator of our current financial system, the currency that facilitates all of our daily interactions. We take its existence for granted, and while the debate in recent years has grown to include whether or not the government should print more of it or print less of it, the lack of comprehension about how dollars, euros, yen, pesos, and other government-regulated national currencies are themselves the very root of the problem, conceived in iniquity and born as debt owed to the commercial banking system itself, has prevented the conversation from moving past this infantile debate. In recent years, mathematicians, cryptologists, computer programmers, and others have been working quietly on the problem of how to create a system of exchange that bypasses the central banks and allows for instantaneous, pseudonymous, free transactions between individuals anywhere on the globe. Their answer? Cryptocurrency, with its most well-known representative, Bitcoin. A currency as loved and hated as it is misunderstood by the public and misrepresented in the press, Bitcoin has created passionate advocates and powerful enemies as it continues to maintain a price that many believed impossible. To gain perspective on the Bitcoin phenomenon and what it really represents, last week I had the chance to talk to Roger Ver, an entrepreneur and Bitcoin early adopter who travels the world spreading the message about Bitcoin and freedom. This is our conversation. All right, so let's start with the usual kind of name, rank, serial number. Describe yourself in one sentence.
In one sentence will be hard, but my name is Roger Ver, and I guess I'm an early adopter of Bitcoin and Bitcoin proponent for over 3 years now.
3 years, all right. So so you've been in this fairly early, not quite at the beginning.
I jumped in pretty much full time in I think February of 2011, which is pretty early by Bitcoin standards.
Okay, all right.
And Bitcoins were less than $1 when I went crazy for them. So.
Well, Then you must be a very rich man.
I've lost a fair and given away a fair number of Bitcoins along the way as well.
All right, well, let's talk about how you got into Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's a radio program that I like to listen to while I go about my life here in Tokyo. It's called Free Talk Live with the website freetalklive.com, which is basically a bunch of libertarians and voluntarists talking about things that are of interest to them. And the host of the show had mentioned Bitcoin, and I kind of Googled it and looked into it a little bit more. And from there I realized, wow, this is really going to change the way everybody on the entire planet does any sort of business. And knew I had to get involved full time. And here I am over 3 years later, and it's been pretty much every waking moment has been devoted to Bitcoin ever since.
Well, that's a pretty dramatic change. And when